Hi, and welcome to Baltimore County Public Schools Office of Special Education video tutorial on the accessibility features of PowerPoint. In today's video, we're going to look at how we can make our PowerPoint presentations more accessible for individuals with disabilities. And in this video, this is going to be a basic overview. We're not going to go too deeply into a lot, but we're going to give you hopefully some basic accessibility features of PowerPoint, as well as some accessibility techniques you can use to get yourself started and to start to make your presentations more accessible. So why don't we go ahead and get into it. Okay, so I'm opening up a PowerPoint here that I had created just for this, and I'm just going to let you know off the top of my head that this is intentionally created to not be accessible because I want to show you some things in it. So when you set out to make a presentation using PowerPoint, the first thing you do is you choose a slide design. One of the things you're gonna hear me say throughout this is to keep it as simple as possible, and that actually goes for slide design also. So to begin with, you want to have a slide that's pretty much not visually distracting. As you can see, I chose a basic blue background here, but there are other designs such as this one here that are visually more distracting and can detract from an individual from being able to get your content that you're trying to get across if it's too visually busy, so to speak. So again, you want to keep it as simple as possible, and so that's why I chose to do the plain background. After you have a slide design, you want to pick a slide layout, and there's a bunch of layouts to choose from. I like to use the title and content slide. I think it's simple, and it's pretty much a title and then whatever you want content-wise. Other designs or other layouts include like a 3-picture column down here, or this content with caption, which tend to be a little busier and a lot more going on in those slides. It can be distracting for someone trying to read. So just keep that in mind. While none of the slide designs are off limits in terms of accessibility, again, I find that when they are simpler, it is better for people to be able to get the content. Okay, so now that we have our slide design and our layouts done, the first thing I want to talk to you about after that is the font, and it's recommended that you use one of two fonts, either Arial, like I have here, or Verdana, because they are easy to read. The other fonts tend to be a little too scripty in some cases, and might be difficult, or too like block letters. It might be too difficult for an individual to read. You're good to go with Arial or Verdana. The size of the font does matter. You do not want to have any font size within your presentation go below 24 point. When it goes below 24 point, it becomes too small, and people who have visual disabilities tend to have difficulty reading it. So you want to keep it at least 24 point. Again, this usually comes into play when we try to squeeze too much text onto a slide, and we have to keep shrinking it down. We want to stay away from that. The other piece to think about with your font is your color. And I'm going to actually jump down to slide 4. And as you can see here, I have two different colors on this slide. At the top here, it has white, and that looks really good against the blue background. However, here I put blue on blue, and while it is a different color blue, it's very, very difficult to read. And again, if you have any visual impairment, this might be very, very difficult for you to read. So you want to just make sure that there is enough contrast between your background and your font. Okay. One of the things a lot of people love doing in PowerPoint is to be creative, and they like to include animations, transitions, and timings. So again, nothing that says you can't do that. However, in terms of accessibility, I would stay away from all three, and here's why. Animations and transitions tend to be very visually distracting for an individual, and they don't really add to the comprehension of the content, usually. So again, you don't need them, you don't put them in. As far as the timings go, a lot of people like to set their slides to automatically advance after a certain amount of time. The problem with this is if you have someone who is maybe a struggling reader or who reads very slowly, that they might advance too quickly for the person and they might not be able to finish the content on that slide. So just be aware of that. It's actually better for you to allow the individual to advance the slide on their own. Okay. One quick note about including audio. A lot of times we like to include like an audio file on some slides. That is fine to do as long as two things are met to make it accessible. One is to make sure the controls are accessible to the individual so they can stop and start when they want, as well as providing either a transcript or captioning of what is said in the audio. This is for students or for individuals with hearing disabilities that might need to see it visually. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, the next thing I want to talk about is text, and I'm going to go down to slide 3 here. And there's a couple things I want to talk about with text. The first thing is to not vary your fonts. They pretty much say stick to one font type throughout the entire presentation. Again, it's for consistency. It helps visually keep it together and makes it clearer to read. They also don't necessarily like you to vary font sizes. You can if it's between a title and the body of a text, but not within, like I did here, within these bullet points. Okay? And a big no-no is this last one, is putting too much text on one page. It's very difficult for someone to read, and they tend to not be able to comprehend when there's too much on one page. So if you have a lot of text, it's better to split it up over multiple slides, multiple pages in PowerPoint. Okay. The use of text boxes, again, you can put a text box in. The problem with text boxes are that, and I discourage those because they're often, a screen reader will often read those out of order or will skip them altogether. And the other piece is they don't show up in the outline view. If you look at the outline view of the of the presentation, what's in the text box won't show up there. So just you want to make it as clear and as easy as possible for the reader. So again, unless you have to use a text box, I probably wouldn't. The other thing is, another thing we like to include a lot in our presentations are visuals or pictures, and that's fantastic. Okay, there's nothing wrong with including visuals. However, what most people forget to include to make it accessible is what we call alternative text, and that is text that if someone cannot read or see the picture, that the alternative text will describe the picture to that person. And let me show you how to do that. So, like if I have this picture here and I want to add alternative text, I will right-click on this picture, and then I will hit Edit Alt Text. Okay, it'll come over here, and I can write in here a description of what this is, and this is how to I'll say this is a chart on the do's and don'ts of accessibility. Okay, or whatever. I mean, that might not even be a great one for this, but you get the point. So you would have to give a description of the picture. Okay, now I'm going to delete that for a second, and because I have a reason for that. Okay, but that's how you would add alternate text to that. And most people don't even know that's there. So, that's something that is required under the WCAG guidelines. Okay. A couple other things just to remember one other piece, and this is something I did on this slide, is one of the things that they say, and this is again to prevent people from getting confused from the screen reader reading things out of order, is that each slide should have a different title. Now, I used the same title in each slide on purpose, but again, that's going to be confusing in an outline view, and it's going to be confusing if they're using a screen reader. Like if they have to go back and find something within the PowerPoint, if you have 3 or 4 or 5 slides that have the same exact title, it's going to be very difficult for somebody to find that, who can't really see the PowerPoint as well. I know I'm very guilty of this, and I didn't even know this was something we should be doing until I kind of learned about accessibility. So I just want to make you aware of that. Okay, so here's the other really cool thing, okay, is that you actually can check the accessibility of a PowerPoint presentation, and that's built right into PowerPoint. So let me show you how to get that. So if you go to File, and you come down to Check for Issues right here, if you click on that, it's going to say Check Accessibility. When you click on that, you're going to get this accessibility checkbox over here, and it's going to tell you what you need to do. So the first one is, again, missing alternative text on slide 2. And remember, I added the alternative text for that picture, but I took it out on purpose because I wanted you to see this. So it's telling me I don't have alternative text for this. So I need to go back and make sure that I put alternative text for this picture. Okay? It also tells me I have duplicate slide titles. Okay? And again, that'll pick that up for me. So I have those. I need to go back and I need to change those. So again, this is a simple one. I did this purposefully so you could see how we could do it, but you can check those things and you can see how to fix it. When you double click on this, it will give you a reason why to fix it and how to fix it down here. So it's really intuitive in terms of that. Again, we could spend a lot of time talking about accessibility more and more. The purpose of this was really to give you kind of a basic overview and give you some basic tips to start making the PowerPoint presentations more accessible. I hope you have enjoyed this, and good luck developing your next presentation.